Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning into these videos. It's going to be a MOTB update because this article in the news is speaking about how these small businesses, whichever business is still left in San Francisco, that they should go cashless. And there's too many issues and problems that come with having physical cash on hand. And obviously, this is just going to lead to their beast system so that they get it in the minds of the people and all the infrastructure that there ain't going to be no people buying and selling with physical cash in these near future. So from this article, it was posted yesterday, February 25th, 2026. It says that should SF businesses be able to go cashless, there's push to repeal the law that's stopping them. So I'm going to read most of this article, but I'm kind of going to read a little quick. So from right here, it says San Francisco in 2019, San Francisco passed a law requiring that most businesses accepted cash from customers and not just credit cards or bank cards. Now the city is thinking of repealing that law. And that's something that I want to just emphasize, that just because Esau has put out laws and certain things doesn't mean that he can renege on those things. Because you can see just in all of his history, especially what he was doing with the indigenous people here in America, that he would renege on all of these treaties. He would say certain things, and he would say that he wouldn't be allowed to covet these certain areas, but then he would break the treaties that he himself wrote. So the fact that they repelled that there ain't going to be no cashless society, stores moving around like that, doesn't mean that the scriptures are null and void. What is written in the scriptures are going to pass, or they're going to come to pass, especially the prophecy pertaining to the MOTB, when Esau Edom is going to require all, both small and great, rich and poor, small business, big business, to receive that charagma. And if they don't have that device that's going to be implanted in them, they're not going to be able to function in the society, because you have to buy and sell through those means. And all of this right here is just getting the people ready for this new world order agenda. They're basically setting the foundation for this beast system that they're trying to roll out. So from this article again, it says now that the city is thinking of repealing that law. The U.S. has already stopped producing the penny, and now a few in San Francisco businesses would like to take cash out of the equation forever. And not too long ago, it was on the news that they had stopped manufacturing the pennies, which modern pennies don't really have any copper in them as of now. None of the money down here is actual sound weight in gold, silver, or actual resources. It's just a bunch of FRNs, Federal Reserve notes, to keep the petrodollar afloat. And not everybody is dealing with that. All of this society is basically laden with thick clay, which is heavy debt. And Esau Edom, and how he's running the society, whatever taxes that he's getting from these people, he's really just sending it to push his wicked agenda out throughout the four corners of the earth. They had a recent hearing with Donald Trump and a bunch of people within the Congress and the government of America. And basically they were just bringing out that a lot of what's happening is scams. And whatever tax money that these people from foreign countries, mind you, it's not so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans who are benefiting off of the tax money and the benefits, although some do receive those benefits. The majority of the people who are receiving those benefits are the heathens, because all they could do is just come over here and open up a bank, open up a store, become a clerk, and then start funneling in money that our tax-paying money is technically meant to keep us afloat. But basically everyone down here, specifically the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, like the actual citizens of America, are living in heavy debt. The pennies aren't worth anything, and the dollars aren't worth anything. That's why they're getting ready to roll out that new digital currency. So continuing on from this article, starting from this paragraph, it says, Many of them felt that the knowledge that there may be cash on the premise made them a target, explained Supervisor Raphael Mandelman. And that's something that they basically are trying to shake people and scare them into accepting this, because there's a bunch of thugs out there in the highways and hedges of here in Babylon, but really that's because of the wicked that are bearing rule. None of the atrocities that are taking place, the people are not held accountable. Like those lists and the emails that have just recently come out with Epstein, all those people are not going to face time. It's basically just another psyop so that they can keep these people distracted. And for the main distraction is that your money is worth nothing. And you're basically going to 9 to 5, working and paying taxes for literally no return. So continuing on from this article, it says Mandelman's office told ABC7 Eyewitness News that the risk of being targeted for physical threats have increased 33% since businesses were told in 2019 they had to accept cash. And that was all before 2020. And during 2020, because us and the brothers here at Great Millstone for the SF Bay Area camp, we actually experienced that firsthand. And a lot of these coffee spots and whatever stores that were still open, they had the 6 feet and the face masks and all that BS. But they were basically pushing that vibration and notion that they don't want to accept physical cash. You just got to go there, tap and collect, because all of that was basically contagious. Or however they were trying to spin that story, it's a notion that these people want to have. And they're basically groomed into that. Like also gradualism, they have been gradually been put on this situation so that when it's presented to them, they're going to jump into it. So continuing on from this article, Mandelman has listed to some of his constituents before considering that perhaps it was time for small businesses to decide if they wanted to go entirely cashless. Marta Aston, the owner of Cliff's Variety Store in the Castro district, has always accepted cash. He says that the possibility of a robber because of that is always a concern in the back of our minds. But Aston said the last time someone took money from the store register was more than 50 years ago. And me personally thinking that's not really like a crime that these young people are doing. They're into bipping, where they just break a car and steal all the stuff that's in it. I don't really hear much about like actual GTA type robberies where they go into the store and just open up the cash register. But nonetheless, I believe it may or may not be happening. This article is speaking on these notions and the fear of the people. So continuing on, it says, while Mayor Daniel Lurie has been saying that crime is down, a 2009 paper by the Federal Reserve found that not having cash on store premises reduced opportunities for both internal and external robberies. Then there's the not so small problem of counterfeit money. So see, the list goes on. That you got basically problems all over with Esau's money, to the point where really his only solution is to just do away with it all. He did away with the penny, and he's going to do away with all these other things. Well, technically, nickels and dimes and quarters, they're basically just useless metal rounds. They don't have any actual value anymore. If you look into how much silver used to cost back in the day, and compare it to now, we are basically working for pennies in this current situation. But that's according to the prophecies, that this place is going to be surely polluted, and wickedness is going to be all throughout the four corners of the earth, extending from here in America, Babylon, and that no one is going to be happy. And that because of the lack of bread, no one has enough money to buy a loaf of bread anymore, and it's only going to get worse in Jacob's trouble, that people are going to be fighting each other for it. And Esau Edom is basically just corralling all these people and to get ready to receive that MOTB. So I wanted to read just a few precepts going into this, because the elect have obtained this truth and the rest are blinded. We know and understand that this is pertaining to prophecy, and that's why none of us are going to become sellouts like these other various camps, which I don't have full proof that these people have sold out. But you can very well discern through the Spirit that a lot of these other various camps have sold out. They took the bag. they bent the knee. But of the elect of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, they are not going to bend the knee. There's no amount of money that can buy or sway the Lord's elect out of the mission that we are sent down here to do. So I'm going to read this verse in Matthew 24, verse 24. Let me see. Actually, I'll read from verse 22, verse 21, actually. It says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be." Going into Jacob's trouble. If you think it's bad right now, wait till it gets really bad. When World War III is actually taking an effect. When all these people are just going and ransacking houses instead of just cars and bipping them for whatever they have in their car. It's going to be to the point where they're going to be bipping houses. But continuing on, verse 22, "And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." So the times are moving quicker for the elect's sake. And if it wasn't for the elect's sake, there would be no flesh to save down here. That's why prophecy is speeding up. Esau Edom is going to push out more and more articles going into this. Yeah, he may put up laws to counteract these things, but ultimately the Lord's will, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, has already decreed that Esau Edom is going to go forth with his plan of trying to implement that MOTB and causing everybody to not be able to buy and sell unless they had that device. So continuing on in Matthew 24, and this is in verse 23, "Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Hamashiach, or there, believe it not, for there shall arise false Hamashiachs and false prophets." Like I just referenced, certain people have basically sold out. Those are false prophets. And continuing on, it says, "And shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect." And that's going to be like the moment that we're going to go through. The hour of temptation is if you're really about this ministry, if you're really about the words that you're reading and not receiving that MOTB. So we don't have to worry about all these things that the world is going through. We cast those burdens to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and he uplifts us. He renews us day by day to the point where we really don't need money, food, or water, or raiment. Those things are secondary. The main thing that we're worried about is the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So we are basically in a good stead. So as it says here, basically that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. And that's what's going to happen to these 2/3 who are not on solid ground, who don't have their foundation steady on this ministry and in this doctrine for Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Really, all these other various camps who are sellouts are not going to stand the test of time. Let me see. I'm going to read this other precept in John 10 and 28. I'll read from verse 27. It says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." And when we're speaking these words, you're hearing the voice of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and you're being called into this ministry. And so, as his sheep are hearing his voice, he knows them and they follow them, because these words will lead to life and salvation, and it's only for the elect. In verse 28, it says, "And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand." Because basically the elect are already bought with this blood of Yahushai. They just have to endure through the hour of temptation. Because there is going to be some of us who are, like how it says in the scriptures, many are called, but few are chosen. And so you have to basically see and endure that for those who are called and those who are not chosen. For basically, these people are going to be cast away because ultimately they were never really about this. Yeah, they might have cast out devils in Yahushai's names, but really, you have to be 100% in this truth in order to withstand the wiles of the devil. And whatever situation, just know and understand that if you are part of the elect, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai will keep you. All right, so I'm going to read this in Revelation 13, just to get to the point. In verse 16, it's going into the plan that Esau Edom is trying to enact. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And the word mark there in the Hebrew is karagma, because really what he wants to do is he wants to implant a device into you. And don't say that that's far-fetched and that that's sci-fi, because there's other articles going into that very technology that also can make purchases for you. Just tap and collect. So continuing on, verse 17, it says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So right here is an indicator for us, those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, because the elect will obtain this, but the rest were blinded. Because this basically is straightforward right here. It's not really a big grand mystery, but ultimately part of Esau Edom's plan is that he's going to have everybody receive this device, and if you don't have that device, you're not going to be able to buy and sell. It's as simple as that. But like I was referencing, this is really only for the elect. And just going into how Esau Edom is really going to push for this, I want to read this in Daniel 8 and 24. Now in Daniel 8, it goes into the vision of all these various kings and kingdoms and nations, but going into the Greco-Roman Empire, these are characteristics that had. And so as it's revitalized right now, those are going to be the same characteristics as before. And so just to get to the point, this is Daniel 8 and 24. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice. Because even back in the day, Esau basically had all these other nations, various nations joined up together. They had a table of nations back in the Roman Empire as it was collapsing. And right now, fast forward to today, the NATO and the EU, European unions, are those nations. They're strong, but not by their own, because they're basically amassing their own resources together. Continuing on, it says, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And so Esau Edom is basically going to be out for blood. Just as he was back in the day, he never changed. So continuing on in verse 25, and here's the point, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And so he's going to have the policies. He's going to basically write a law saying that this isn't going to happen, but then the next day he's going to change that law. And it's through his policy that he's going to push forth this edict that we just read about in Revelation 13 and 16. So continuing back in Daniel 8:25, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And that's another way that he's going to be subtle with it. He's going to be like a serpent and try to ease the people into doing this. He's going to be a false Hamashiach. As I read that in Matthew 24, there's going to be many antichrists, many false prophets, many of those who were with us but really ended up never being with us. And specifically Esau Edom is just going to corral them and be a savior unto them. Because when all hell is breaking loose, Esau Edom is going to roll out that MOTB, and it's going to be like a godsend unto these two-thirds. Those who basically have made a covering, but not of us, not of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, but rather the enemy himself. So with that, I hope this video was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rokakadash, Shalom Akim.